Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are and we're still in Miami, and I've got a lovely guest here, and there's a little link as to why I say lovely, but the person I'm talking about is Kunal Maheshwari, who's the Chief Growth Officer with Softlink Global. So Kunal, lovely to have you as a guest, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I'll be very honest, a little nervous, but yeah, excited.
Nah, you're not, don't worry about that. But the reason I say lovely is because we had the pleasure of having your dad on the show a little while back, and it was lovely to meet him. He's a very determined and passionate man about what he does and what he's achieved. And you're also now the second father and son that we've had on, because we had the Ram Menon family, both Rams, so they were on. That was really nice to see. So it's lovely to see a father and son working together. Now, please don't tell him that we're doing this until it comes out, and it'd be nice to see what he says.
Yes.
But what I want to ask you first is if you can explain your role of being the Chief Growth Officer, what it is you hope to achieve, why, what the benefits are you feel to your customer base. If you can just let everybody know a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So I think as a Chief Growth Officer, my first and the most important agenda is to get the world know what we are doing.
Yep.
That is the most important thing, because you could be doing the most amazing thing, but if you can't go up there to the world and tell them what you're going to do or what you're doing, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't help to keep things under the wrap. Yep. So as my role's first responsibility is go out there in the world and represent my entire team and let the world know what cool things we are building, what do we do for our existing customers, and then yes, of course, make sure that we are spreading the word of what we do, how we do it, and what are we going to do as probably our product roadmap or something. And it also comes down to the aspect of generating revenue, which is very important for every company, right? As the name says, the growth officer, right? Growth for every company is very critical. So the reason why I think this designation was given to me is not only to focus on letting the world know what we are doing, but also to make sure that we have a springboard in terms of generating the revenue, going to different geographies, helping the company expand into locations where we have not expanded, representing the company, presenting in front of the audiences and showcasing what we are doing. So yeah, it's all about that.
Oh, it's good, and what a wonderful opportunity for you. Now, for people that are listening who might not have heard your dad's episode, what exactly do you do and for who?
Right, so as a company, we make softwares and solutions. As a tech company, we make systems and solutions for freight forwarders and logistics service providers. So our software, Logi Sys, is by far the most advanced system for freight forwarders. We have implemented the system in across 40 countries. We serve almost about 5,000 logistics service providers in these 40 countries.
Nice one.
And the idea is very simple, Chris. We help freight forwarders to make sure that their operations are happening in the most seamless way through our application. So right from an inquiry coming in to probably setting their financials right, generating the financial statements, it takes care of all. So right from an inquiry to, I like to call it, to the balance sheet, to the financial statement,
that's fair enough.
It helps my customers to do everything. So that's what we do at Softlink Global, trying to build tech solutions, innovative solutions, which helps make life easy for freight forwarders and logistic people.
Exactly, and it's a great help. And what I wanted to ask is, so you're focusing on the forwarders and other people focus on the other, steps in the chain.
Right.
How do you work with those parties to make sure everything has got a similar or a common target or outcome?
Right. We like to call it as an ecosystem. What you just said is more like an ecosystem where every party who is involved in probably a life cycle of a shipment is contributing to something what they're doing. It could be contribution of information, it could be contribution of movement of the cargo, it could be contribution of coordinating with two parties. So the way we see it, the way we have built our system, it's purely driven by integrations.
Right.
We don't call our system Logi Sys as a software, we call it as a platform, because there are so many different stakeholders in this entire ecosystem, and it is very important that my system is able to communicate with multiple stakeholders in this entire ecosystem. So we leverage a lot on integrations, which basically helps you to not have a very closed system, but an open system where it's data exchange, data and document exchange, and the value addition which we need to do is extremely important, and it saves time.
Yep. And one of the things that I think is getting a justifiable level of focus now is the RFS element. Mm-hmm. So from delays, waiting times, disruption,
right.
Congestion, all those areas.
Right.
Are you actually taking that into account and supporting the forwarders' criteria and understanding?
Right.
Are you able to impact or influence that as well?
Yes, very largely. See, because these disruptions are going to happen. They're not going to stop. These are the challenges which freight forwarders or anyone in the logistics industry is going to face. I mean, a few years back, it was probably a shortage of containers. Now it is the Red Sea. Something or the other hits a freight forwarder or a logistic company. So it's all about how quickly the information can be first collected and known to this logistics company, and this information how swiftly can be shared with the end beneficiary, who maybe is waiting for the cargo on the other side or waiting for the delivery of the goods. So how we do it is seamless notifications first internally, so that logistic company who is probably handling the shipment is internally aware of what is the status of what's going to happen, or where is my shipment, basically tracking my cargo. And then how this information can be seamlessly transmitted to their end customer. Because it's all about visibility. I cannot stop disruptions from happening. This is part and parcel of the trade. But
it's how you react and how you respond. And
exactly. It's down to the customer service levels. How quickly I can make sure that my customer is aware, so that he can make his customer aware.
Exactly. And it's that positive and proactive element of control that gives people confidence that something's going to work.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Right. Got another question for you, Kunal. Now, your dad.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point with a father-son relationship, the father's thinking, I wonder if I should bring him into the business. I wonder if he's going to be good enough in the business. I wonder if I am too pushy. And then from a son's perspective, probably thinking, oh my God, he's going to be telling me what to do all the time. Is he going to let me have a bit of freedom?
Right.
So I'm sure all those dynamics happened. How and when did you decide that you'd come into your dad's business?
Chris, I think ours was a very different scenario. Whatever you said, we never faced that. Probably, at least from not my side. I'm sure, my dad would have had those thoughts, but from the very beginning, he always told me that this is not your business, this is my business, and you need to build your own blue ocean. So he's an avid reader, and he loves the Blue Ocean Strategy book, So right from my high school, I've always been nurtured in a way that, listen, this is my blue ocean, you need to build your blue ocean. So having that thought process, I never thought that I'll be ending up joining him. I completed my studies, I graduated, I did my MSc in finance. I went and I worked 3 years at an investment bank. Really started from scratch in terms of building myself and my confidence, which I think is really important. When you are out there, when you have to build your profile from zero, I think that's the most interesting thing. You get to learn a lot about yourself. Then I quit my job at investment banking. I started my own startup. Funny story, I went into food tech because I was passionate about fitness and healthcare. So I went into food tech. I started that company. It was called the Super Bowl. Ironically enough, it was called the Super Bowl. And I sold that after 1.5 years at a good valuation. Then I took almost a sabbatical for a month. I was traveling, and then my father came up and he asked me, okay, do you want to come and join me? Why don't you just come by and see? And I was not ready for that. I never thought that he would ask me to do that. But I think he eased me into it. He never told me from the start that, oh, you need to come and one day join my business. No, never. That was not the nurturing I got. And I think the equation was more, okay, you want to try this? I was like, okay, yeah, let me try it. Okay, fine. So yeah, that he just, as I said, right, he eased me into it, which was very remarkable, I would say, because you cannot force someone to do something which they are not interested to do.
No.
You know, you have to be very passionate about what you end up doing, and then you need to love what you do. So he just told me that, hey, this is what I do, but he's a guy who would, who would push you off the plane and he would ask you to build a parachute on the way down, you know. So
that's a good idea. Yeah.
So he would not be the one who would make you sit next to him and teach you. He'll be like, okay, now it's sink or swim. You go out there, you learn by yourself. I think that's what made me come into Softlink.
No, fair play. And it's funny listening to, like years ago they started talking about blue sky thinking.
Right.
And now you got blue ocean building.
Correct.
Or creating. It's different. But the analogy you gave there about your dad, you need to get out of the plane now and build your parachute before you hit the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough. And everything's going well for you?
Yeah.
You're meeting all your targets, your objectives, your tick box?
Yes. I think one thing which my dad did really well was we carved out our responsibilities right from the start. He was always a guy who loved products. He's a product guy. He's a hardcore engineer.
Yeah.
He loves product design. I think with me coming on board now, he gets that time to focus on product design.
What he's specialized in.
Exactly, because of course as an entrepreneur, he had to sell himself, right? He used to be at these conferences actively coming and doing the active sales or brand building activities.
Yeah.
But with now, with a larger team, with me taking up that responsibility, I think he's back to what he loves and what he basically is passionate about. And I think we've carved out our responsibilities really well. I focus on these number of things, he focuses on the other things, and it just helps to keep that equation wherein I don't step on. I mean, I know what he does is great, so I don't have to take that responsibility. He knows that what I do is great, so he doesn't have to take that responsibility. So that demarcation of responsibilities is very critical, I feel.
I know it's good, and clearly it works.
Yes.
And I can hear you're very proud of what he's done and started.
100%.
And I would imagine, I'm pretty sure, he's very, very proud of what you're doing as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm sure.
Right.
So listen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Yes.
And we hope to see you again and hear how it's all gone.
For sure. And Chris, thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, seriously. Good
Thank
lad.
you.
Well done.
Bye.
Thank you.